white lady, I found your baby.
Really?
Three times.
Oh no. Okay, don't you dare say it 2 more times.
Hi, we're Scott and Cindy.
Come be a ghost tourist with us.
And we'll tell you if the places are spooky or dooky. All right, we're driving through the rain to San Francisco's Golden Gate Park to visit the horribly haunted Blue Heron Lake.
Yeah, Blue Heron Lake, as it's called now. It used to be called Stowe Lake, but it was renamed a month after we got there because William W. Stowe was a huge anti-Semite, so they didn't like that.
No, get rid of that name. So it's this 12-acre man-made lake, kind of in a donut shape around an island, and it was created in 1893 for the 1894 Midwinter Fair.
I didn't even know there was such a thing as a midwinter fair.
I've never heard of that either.
We're at Stowe Lake, a man-made lake in Golden Gate Park in San Francisco. And the ghost that people see here is the lady in white.
Always a lady in white.
Yes.
Or red.
La Llorona of San Francisco.
We're here looking for the lady in white.
Supposedly, if you really want to see her, what you're supposed to say is, white lady, I found your baby.
Really?
Three times.
Oh no. Okay, don't you dare say it 2 more times.
No. Plus, I'm not fond of white ladies.
You can't say that.
There's 2 possible stories of who she is, both from the 1930s. One say it was a woman who was pregnant out of wedlock and that she wanted to dispose of her baby and then of herself. The other one is that a woman was here with her baby in a stroller and she started chatting with a woman next to her on a bench.
Here's a bench that, it's even in memoriam of Scott. This might be the name of the lady in white. Anna and Renee Dimitriscus.
So she was 2 people?
No, the baby in her.
Oh!
And then when she looked up after a few minutes, the baby was gone. She looked around, asking everybody, "Where have you seen my baby? Have you seen my baby?" And then realized it had probably rolled into the lake. So she went into the lake looking for it, and nobody ever saw her again.
All right, we're walking to the bridge because it's the only thing we can see.
Okay, here we are. Seeing it. There's a lady in white.
There's a man in blue. Is that the same?
And now here's the scary part. If you see the lady in white, she says, "Have you seen my baby? Have you seen my baby?" If you say yes, you've seen her baby, she will haunt you forever. If you say no, you haven't seen her baby, she'll kill you. That's the story.
So there's no winning with her.
Do not talk to this lady, I guess is the answer. Which is good advice for pretty much any lady.
With any ghost lady.
Well, if you're going to be specific.
Maybe the lady in white comes down those stairs.
Could be. Get married.
Birds are making noises.
Is it the crying of a loon or the crying of a loony lady who drowned her baby? But she's usually here at night. It's kind of like night because it's raining out right now and overcast, so we could pretend like she might appear.
All right. How do we know she's not on this side of the lake?
We don't. What did you just say a second ago, though?
Here's more lake.
No, before that.
I said, let's go because it's rainy and cold.
Is that the ghost hunter motto? Is that the kind of attitude you need if you're going to find a ghost? It's rainy and cold, you just call it quits?
I'm the princess ghost hunter.
Oh.
Ghost lady, give me your tot.
Your tot.
Well, it's only a 1-syllable rhyme.
You can see the rain on my film. That's actually a really pretty picture. So on the spooky scale, we give Blue Heron Lake
1.5.
1 out of 5 ghosts because
It's not scary.
it's not scary. But it wasn't scary because it was raining when we went.
And because there were little people in duck boats driving around the lake.
It's very romantical.
Oh, yeah.
And since the video is a little too short, we'll tack on another San Francisco ghost story.
One I like to call the Kearny Street Ghost. You like to call it that too?
He's a little scary, isn't he?
So this was in the 1850s in San Francisco. A man named Albert Crumb couldn't keep a living made for more than 24 hours. Every single one of them, when they went to bed at night, saw this strange shadow on the wall that moved toward them, and they all quit. So his final maid, Bridget, saw the shadow across the way.
Why can't we call him domestic worker?
Because this was the 1850s?
Well, yeah, but we're talking about it in the 2020s, and we call them domestic workers now.
Domestic sex workers.
No, domestic workers.
Okay. So his final domestic worker,
Live-in domestic worker.
his final live-in domestic worker, Bridget, she saw this shadow across the room and froze. She became petrified. And it moved up to the bed. And it stared down at her. And it opened its huge mouth. And it took its hand and plunged it into its stomach.
Its own tummy.
Its own tummy. And pulled out something cold and wet and put it on, like, her feet on the blanket. It did this a dozen times. And then it screamed this horrible scream. And she screamed. And that seemed to clear it up. Now she could move, it disappeared, and she looked down at her legs and saw there were 12 white kittens that were dead.
Oh, stop it!
With bloody red handprints on them. Now, it makes no sense to me why this shadow ghost could pull dead cats out of its stomach, or why it would. I don't know what that means. But she quit and he moved away.
I think this is a made-up story. Somebody wrote it out of, from their imagination. That is not a true story.
Because of the cats?
That kind of stuff doesn't happen. That's just not a true story. That's AI.
It's not AI. It's BS.
That is not a true story. Who is the author of that Kearney Street Ghost story?
Okay, so the rumor is, or the story behind the story is, that Samuel Clemens wrote about this event for a newspaper, and he was known to exaggerate and or make things up to sell newspapers.
There you go. See?
But there's some truth. There's probably a guy with a domestic worker.
Maybe the domestic workers were spooked. Maybe the guy liked to, get off on scaring his own domestic workers.
While he watched through a little peephole.
Yeah. Beep and.
Well, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't want to interrupt if you're going to make a comment.
I'm not no, I'm like, wait a minute. So, okay. Never mind.